Howdy folks, how we going? Thanks for joining me out on the back veranda. It's a bloody quite a nice spring day. Been joined by one annoying fly. Hopefully he doesn't get too much in the microphone and buzzing in your ear. He's buzzing in my bloody ear. But anyway, clearly what we're doing today, we're doing some Hobgoblin tasting. These two are the ESB Hopgoblin freshwater kit that I brewed a little while back. Actually, I brewed it back on the 22nd of July, so it's 2 months. 22nd today, 2 months to the day. So that's nice. Nice numbers, I like that. But anyway, and I've got the two, well, one can, one bottle of the Hobgoblin. I've discussed this, and I'm pretty sure I discussed it on the original video. And I've discussed it on lives and things before. That this is the original Hobgoblin we could get in Australia. 5.2% ABV. And that's the Hobgoblin that I first fell in love with many years ago. In recent times we've been getting this fella, and this was the only Hobgoblin I could get recently until I happened upon the bottles. This is 4.5% ABV. Why are they different? Who would bloody know? And funnily, when you go along to Wychwood Brewery's webpage, it has the variations, and it doesn't really explain what, but it just says yes, that there's the canned version of 4.5, there's a bottle version of 5.2. Crazy thing is, the Hobgoblin on tap at the brewery is 5.1%. So there's no explanation in there as to why there are variances or how they go about doing it. Yeah, so I can only assume that it's all the one recipe and they cut it back or water it down to different percentages. Yeah, and again, to what end I really don't understand why. I don't know why you wouldn't just put it all out at 5.1% if that's what tap strength is. But there'd be some sort of reason for it. I would assume that the recipe is the same, that they aren't doing different recipes for each variation. I think that would be, yeah, strategically quite a difficult thing to do, like a very time consuming and take up a lot of space in your brewery. So I'm assuming they're just brewing the one brew and they're cutting it back. But with that in mind, the variances, and I'm not commenting about this 5.2 for me by memory, and I haven't tried a bottle version of this for probably, could be somewhere around 7 years. And I picked this up with the big pint glass, and well, I don't get the pint glass because I think it actually takes the half a litre bottle. Come in a display tin. It's a little bit pricey because of that, but it allowed me to get hold of this, and this you can't always get. Because for me, this has always been, well, I've always found it, I remember it being a little bit deeper in flavour and certainly a bit more of the underlying dark dried fruit note, which is one of the really big characters of the Hobgoblin. So for me, the tin just doesn't quite get to the same place. So I'm going to get a pour on. I'm going to start with the real deals. And while I'm going to talk about what's going on here. If you want to go back and watch the, well, it's not so much brew day video because it was only a fresh walk when I put it together, but it does explain on there what I was doing. But the idea was I wanted to split the batch and try to recreate the two different versions. So that means pitching at a different strength, but it also meant I dropped a different yeast strain. And I'm not going to get that open without a bottle opener. Molly, get away from there. Get out of there. Bloody dog's all excited. She can't stay away from the pool. There was 2 bloody brown snakes out there the other day having a big fight. I was at work. The missus got on footage, freaked her out. I've not seen a snake since. The dog keeps snooping around. She's got her excited. But anyway, so yeah. So what I was trying to do was, one, I was trying to get to similar to the ABVs, and I was also trying to push that dried fruit a little bit on at least one version. So I'm looking at a big drink here. It's mid Friday afternoon. This could well take me into the early evening, but we'll see. So I split the batch, but I watered one down a little bit more than the other. So the first half I did with Mangrove Jack's Empire Ale, which I believe is going to get me closer to the real flavour. I pitched this at 1055 original gravity. It finished at 1018 for an ABV of 4.8. Didn't get me with 5.2. I thought it would have attenuated a little bit lower, but it hasn't. Okay, we've got good gas there in the bottle. I'm not convinced that maybe there might have been a little bit extra conversion there. Post the ferment, it did only go 10 days in the fermenter. So there may be a little bit extra there. And this fella has been done with Liberty Bell Ale, Mangrove Jacks again. So both are very... Let's split these out so we can see the beers. So both are very traditional, pommy yeasts. Both are more than capable of doing this beer. I've got no idea what actual yeast they use. I've done this years back I've done clones of this off a recipe provided by the brewer in a podcast that was done a long time ago. And he never actually says what yeast it is, just that it's a clean, English yeast. Which could give you a lot of things. So this is where I've gone. So, like I said, this is the canned version. So this is the version that we can get around the place, not super readily, but if you know where you're looking, you can get it. These can and bottle came from Plonk, plonk.com.au. Actually, I don't even think it's .com. It's a really, I think it's just plonk.au, the actual website. I will link it up down the bottom because it's unusual. I'm pretty sure it's just plonk.au, which is really weird. But anyway, they're in Canberra and they have the cans quite readily, and these bottles are a bit more available as well. Now, funnily, that's got more nose than the bottle version. And that being said, this bottle version is right on its expiry date, where these canned versions I think are a lot fresher. Actually, not a lot. It's only got a month and a half to go. So that just may be the difference between the can and the bottle, but let's see if we can get a bit of a difference on the taste. This is Hobgoblin, one of my favourite beers. I see on a lot of pommy channels and that when they're rating, different beers, things doesn't rank particularly well. Okay, that has got that little bit more depth in that dark fruit. The toffee's a little bit more pronounced. Would even say a touch of the diacetyl a little bit more noticeable than it is in the lower version. Yeah, that is a lot cleaner and smoother. This one's getting a little bit more brash. Same flavour, it's just got a little bit more attitude. That's a very nice beer. Well, in my opinion, that's it. Yeah, I said they may not rank great with those in the homeland, but given that those in the homeland have access to all the homeland beers and we have very limited supply and availability, I'm going to go with that. Now, the Hobgoblin freshwater kit from ESB Brewing. It was a full volume kit, didn't get watered down, I just dumped the kit in and went with it. The 1055 of this fella is the actual gravity of the wort kit, which led me to believe that they were more trying for this sort of strength, because it didn't mention anything about actually watering it down. I got, I think it was 22 litres. I've kegged 8 litres into 2 kegs and a couple of bottles with a little bit left over, but now like I said, I've got this on keg. Actually didn't put in the 2 kegs, put 8 litres of one batch, 10 litres of the other straight into a keg, and that's on tap, so they're mixed. So I haven't actually tried the differences with the 2 different yeasts. They look, of course they look the same, even though one's a higher starting gravity. They only finished, this one I watered down to 1050. It finished at 1014, which was a little bit higher than I was expecting. So it finished at 4.7%. So this is a little higher than its target, and this one's a little lower than its target. But given the difference in the starting gravities and the finish gravities, I'm thinking we should have some difference, and there certainly should be a little bit of difference in character from the yeast. So I said, this fella's the Liberty Bell. Okay, when I've been drinking this off the keg, I was thinking, okay, it's certainly in the ballpark, and it's in the ballpark. It's not as centre of the ballpark as I initially thought it was. Now actually tasting it side by side against the real deal. Yeah, the real thing is sort of very toffee, toffee, burnt sugar, old school caramel sort of a nose, with that little bit of, fruit edges. That's got a very sweet, okay, that's not as sweet. That's getting more That's getting closer on the nose. Yeah, it's a little sweeter. It's not as dry. As much as this real deal is fairly toffee and like caramel sweet, it's still got a sort of a dryness underneath. Now, the day I picked up the kit, the fellow down there at Nowry actually had one fermenting, and he was, I think he just started the cold crash on it, and he was using Nottingham. So I could see that potentially Nottingham could get a little bit lower on the gravity. The attenuation's probably only around 73% on that Liberty Bell. The Empire's gone close to the 70, 75, but I could see how maybe a Nottingham might push to a 78. Could pull that sweetness down, yeah, and keep that bit of dryness there. Let's see this fella. So this is stronger version, higher original gravity, higher finish gravity, higher ABV. The Empire Ale yeast, which I think, like from the yeast description, should work really good with the beer. Okay, and that is getting closer. That is much closer to the flavour than there. Okay, but there's a sweetness that's not quite right. They've got the colour. Now the colour is almost bloody, almost perfect. It's a fraction. It's a fraction off. It's not a lot, but it is. It's a little bit off. And almost to the point I sort of say that maybe there's a little bit more. It's more red. It's a bit more brownish. Still red, but there's a bit more brownish tinge in the clone than the real thing. The real thing's a bit more deeper red. Like it's only 2 or 3 shades, like on the colour scale. But yeah, I mean, they're a good attempt, and that version is definitely closer. So I think from that perspective, yes, the kit has gotten quite close. And as I said, I think if you did run Nottingham on that and it pulled it down to the 1055, if it pulled it down, if it even pulled it down to 1016, that's 5% ABV. Yeah, sneaking towards 5.1, so you're getting very close to the right mark, and that would still be, there's still like 73.5% attenuation. So if you did drag 75% out, 76, and yeah, you're certainly going to get that 5.2%, and that might That might be enough to pull that sweetness out and bring it a little bit drier. Yeah, and it is quite possible that Nottingham is the yeast that they use. Yeah, it is a clean, yeah, clean English ale yeast. That's quite possible. Look, and at the end of the day, I said it's made a nice beer. This kit, regardless. Is it a clone? It's close. Yeah, and it's close enough. I think I said. Get the couple of points down. I think, yeah, that Nottingham probably would have done a better job looking at it now. I didn't have any here, and I've had inconsistencies with Nottingham. I've had it where it's gone from one batch where it's on very similar beers where it's attenuated at 78%, and then the next brew it's attenuated at 73%. So I was a bit worried about exactly where it was going to go. But, yeah, I think if it was to perform within its band where it's meant to, then yeah, I don't think there'd be anything wrong with Nottingham as a yeast choice, yeah, for this kit. That being said, I think this was a very limited kit. It's not something you're going to be able to walk in too often and get. I don't know whether it's something they might do a little bit more often, how well it's sold or anything like that. I'd certainly hope they do it a bit more often, make it a bit more of a regular thing. There's plenty of brewers who like a good English bitter, and this is a good English bitter. And it's hard to find good recipes or clones around the place, so that would work really good. So yeah, ESB, if you happen to see this, we'd probably like to see this kit run a bit more often. Rolling around to doing my own clone. I've done it previously. I've always been happy with my clone recipe. It's close. Again, doesn't quite get there, and but it could be a yeast thing. It was a while back. Wasn't playing with water chemistry and stuff back then, so that could have a bit more of an impact. I certainly think the yeast will have an impact, but I'll throw links to a little bit down the bottom. I'll throw links to the clone brews, and I'll link up the recipes, so you've got somewhere to go and look at. Because as I said, even though this my recipe doesn't quite get there, it still makes a very respectable, tasty English bitter. And if this is the kind of beer you want to make, then it's a really good recipe. You might think about it. I'll drop my Bombardier recipe as well. It's not a bad drop. It's not not a clone of the Bombardier, which is another nice bitter I like. But it again makes another nice beer. But anyway, that's me for now. So thumbs up to ESB for brewing the kit. Yeah, and this one I did pay cash dollaroos for this one. This was not given to me. I did chase this one down myself and paid with my own dollars. But yeah, in that sense, yeah, big thumbs up to all the patrons of the channel. Yeah, this is what that Patreon support lets me do on the channel. Lets me play around with things like this. Yeah, I generally would not be going out and buying, fresh wort kits and brewing them. So without Patreon, that doesn't happen. So guys, link down the bottom if you're interested. Check it out. If you subscribe to the channel, thank you very much. If you're not, do so. Ring the little bell so you get notified when there's a new video up. Yeah, and if you like what's going on, give me a thumbs up. All those things help the channel, help me keep going, help me play around, help me keep trying different things, experimenting, you know, trying out stuff for you guys at home that you might want to try yourself. But anyway, that's me, Little John. I'm gonna cruise into the rest of my afternoon because it's the only bloody weekend I've got. I'm bloody working all weekend. Doesn't happen too often these days, but yeah, sometimes it still happens. So I'm going to roll into late Friday afternoon. So have a great weekend, guys and girls, ladies, folks, gentlemen. That's me, Little John. So until I see you on the next video when we're brewing beer, drinking beer, or talking beer, good brewing. If you get around here quickly, there might be some left. I say might. You're still there? Why haven't you left yet? Quick, go!